if you're in data science or ML and you're thinking about CICD, you're trying to get your work into production, there's a lot of buzzwords, there's a lot of confusion. I've been talking a lot about this at Continual. We care about this problem deeply. What I want to do in this session is just walk through a basic CI/CD pipeline, walk through it at a high level whiteboard, because we're going to have a bunch of fun demos coming up after this. So first of all, this is you as the hero of this story. You're the ML engineer, the data scientist. You do something fun in whatever data science platform you have. SageMaker, DataRobot, Dataiku, lots of great tools out there. You do something interesting. You check your project into the Google Docs for code at your organization, your version control system. And what we want to have happen is essentially two really important things. We want to run some tests to make sure you didn't break anything. We want to pass in credentials as part of those tests so that we can access data that you or I may not have access to. Like, for example, there'll be sensitive data in the organization. You or me may not have access or probably shouldn't have access to a prod database. So we'll have some sort of configuration management process that will say, hey, use a different set of credentials so that we can train this model on staging data or maybe even production data. We'll actually want to build a model from that new data. So there'll be a process at the end of this or as part of this process, we build a new version of your model. You check in code or you check in a project. We're not checking in an actual pickle file or binary object for your model. We're just checking in the code. We're building this automatically using the staging or production data, the silver, gold, or platinum data, or whatever your structure looks like. And we want this to run continuously, meaning as you make changes to source control and as you push things in or merge them, create pull requests, these tests kick off automatically so you don't forget to do it. We can just verify that it happens. And then we're also going to want to have some sort of deployment step. And I'm explicitly labeling this here as continuous delivery because typically the distinguishing factor being between continuous delivery and continuous deployment, oh gosh, it's so buzzwordy, I kind of hate it. But the important thing being maybe in a continuous deployment scenario, if I'm making an update to the website and I change something in the CSS to change a font, for example, it's okay if that change just goes live. It's relatively easy to roll back. So we may not have an explicit approval process where someone looks at the change and then hits a button to say approve. Typically with ML teams, not always, but typically, you will have an explicit human in the loop step. So when we go from our test pass, we'll go into a deployable state, but we won't actually deploy the model automatically. We'll ask someone to review. We'll have them review some of the checks that we've already built in, so they're not going to be doing things manually like, oh, got to check this out. They should be reviewing a series of tests, whether that's for drift, for fairness, all sorts of things, and then saying, hey, I've given this a quick look, I approve, now we'll deploy this. And on the back end here is we have our different environments, and this is crucial. It's a Git-based workflow with separation of environments. We'll do deployments into dev, into staging environments, into production, and those will all be based on these different configurations as part of our workflow. So maybe made this a little too buzzwordy, but I'm going to show a bunch of demos as we walk through different CI/CD examples for ML, and I just wanted to lay this out one more time. So again, starting from like, I do something interesting, I apply quantitative or computational techniques, I build a cool model. When I check my code into source control, no matter where I'm building this from, when I check my model into source control, all of this will get kicked off or should be kicked off. It's not your responsibility in data science to build these things, but it is your responsibility to format your project such that all of this can run. Notably that you can run your tests, you can have your project into a deployable state so that someone can actually deploy it into a dev, staging, or production. Way more to come from me on this. Hope you found it useful.